Navy SEAL Commander Marcus Chen's look said it all. What was a medical officer doing on a warship among soldiers? But when the enemy stormed the deck and turned his elite team into sitting ducks, Mia Nakamura did something that made every man on that deck question everything they thought they knew about women. She dropped her medical bag, pulled out a Beretta that nobody knew she had, and neutralized 6 enemies in 15 seconds by herself. The commander's words, whispered to a wounded soldier, echoed over the radio. "Medical personnel don't fight like that." He was right. Medical personnel didn't fight, because Mia Nakamura wasn't just medical personnel. And what happened next would force America's deadliest warriors to confront a truth they never wanted to face. Sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one everyone underestimated. The USS Porter's medical bay was lit with sterile fluorescent light. As Mia Nakamura removed her gloves, she paused over the wound she'd just stitched. Routine procedure, vital signs stable. She was 28, athletic build, tired, but her eyes cataloged every detail. Nakamura. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen stood in the doorway, tall, broad-shouldered, radiating authority. Supply ship docking in 2 hours. We're in the South China Sea. The region's dangerous. All medical personnel stay in secure zones. Clear. Crystal clear, sir. Chen waited, as if expecting protest, but Mia just returned his gaze calmly. Chen left. Behind her, young corpsman Danny Martinez whispered, "Bet she freezes when the first shot fires." They all do. Mia recorded their voices, the tones, the assumptions. These men saw her as a liability. Mia checked her medical bag, bandages, tourniquet, IV lines, everything in place. Then she touched the hidden compartment at the bottom. Beretta M9. 3 spare magazines, suppressed, modified, never appearing in any official record. When the supply ship docked, the sea was rough. Martinez coordinated the transfer operation. Mia stood on deck, watching. The procedure was simple, 45 minutes for transfer and departure. But something was wrong. The supply ship was too quiet. No personnel visible. No normal radio traffic. "Sir," she told Chen, "something's off." "Rough seas." "Crews are inside." "Where's the deck crew?" "Nobody securing the transfer line." The first explosion shattered the silence. From the supply ship, flash bang, then automatic weapons fire. Chen's radio crackled. "Boarding party! Hostile boarders!" Grappling hooks flew from the sea, latching onto the USS Porter. The enemy was boarding. Chen barked orders. SEALs took positions. But it was too late. The pirates were already climbing onto the deck. With automatic weapons. Organized. Professional. A SEAL took a round to the chest. Fell dying. Mia Nakamura made a choice. Dropped her medical bag. Drew the Beretta. And started firing. The first shot was nearly silent. A short crack from the suppressor. On deck, a pirate firing an AK-47 suddenly fell backward. Before the SEALs understood what happened, Mia had transitioned to her second target. The weapon cracked again. The pirate controlling the ropes fell. Martinez saw it. "What?" Mia didn't listen. Her world had narrowed. Just target picture, trigger control, breathing rhythm. Third pirate down, fourth, fifth. Every shot deliberate, every shot precise, every shot lethal. The sixth pirate tried to take cover. Too late. Mia sent the round. The man dropped. 15 seconds, 6 targets, 0 misses. The deck fell into silence. Only the moans of the wounded and the sound of waves. Mia held her weapon scanning, searching for new threats. The SEALs stared at her in shock. Chen approached slowly, like approaching a dangerous animal. Nakamura. His voice had changed. No more dismissal. A mixture of awe and apprehension. "What was that?" Mia looked at him. "That, sir, was me keeping your team alive. Medical personnel don't shoot like that. Nobody shoots like that. I'm not really medical personnel." "No shit." Chen's jaw tightened. "So, what are you really?" Mia ejected the magazine, checked the chamber, reloaded. movements from thousands of repetitions. I'm the person they send when intelligence isn't enough, when someone needs to read a situation and fix it, when someone— She paused, eyes directly on Chen. When someone needs to eliminate targets, but nobody can know who did the eliminating. The silence was heavy. Martinez broke it. We've got wounded. Need immediate evacuation. Chen was still staring at Mia. How many? Sir? How many did you kill? 6 confirmed. 6. He said the word like testing it. In how many seconds? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Because I've been doing this job for 12 years, and I've never seen anyone shoot like you just did. The question I'm asking myself is whether you're an asset or a threat. Mia slung her weapon over her shoulder. Right now, Commander, I'm the reason your men are going home alive. That's what should matter. She walked away, toward where the corpsman was working on wounded SEALs, leaving Chen standing alone with thoughts he'd probably never fully process. Behind him, Martinez and his buddy were talking quietly. Did you see that? I saw it. I don't believe it, but I saw it. Who is she? Someone way above our pay grade, brother. Way above. The Chinook helicopter's rotors beat the air. The wounded loaded first, on stretchers or walking with assistance. The rest of the SEAL element followed, moving with the carefulness of men who'd just survived something they hadn't expected to survive. Mia was last aboard. She stood at the edge of the landing zone, weapon slung, scanning ridgelines, still looking for threats that might come. Because that's what you did when you were the person responsible for killing 6 men before breakfast. Chen grabbed her arm at the helicopter's ramp. Not roughly, but firm enough to stop her. We need to talk when we get back. Full debrief. I'll provide a written report. I don't want a written report. I want to know who you really work for and what you are doing on my operation. Mia pulled her arm free gently. I work for the same country you do, Commander. I was doing my job. That's all you need to know. That's all you're allowed to know, sir. She emphasized the rank without making it sound like mockery. Now let's get these wounded to medical attention before we have this conversation again. The flight back to the forward operating base took 40 minutes. Mia sat alone near the crew chief's position, methodically cleaning her rifle while the SEALs clustered together, processing what they'd witnessed. Some were treating wounded. Some were staring into space with the 1,000-yard stare of men replaying combat in their heads. A few were stealing glances at Mia, trying to reconcile the quiet woman breaking down her weapon with the lethal efficiency they'd witnessed. Chief Petty Officer Jake Reeves finally broke away from his team and took the seat next to her. He didn't say anything for a long moment, just watched her hands move through the cleaning ritual. Oilcloth wiping carbon from the bolt. Boar snake running through the barrel. Every movement precise, economical. My daughter wants to join the military, he said finally. Marine Corps. I've been trying to talk her out of it, telling her it's no place for women, that she'll never get the respect she deserves, that the men will never really accept her. Mia kept cleaning, not looking up. You should stop. Stop what? Lying to your daughter. Because that's what you've been doing. Lying. You've been telling her she can't when you should have been helping her prepare for the fact that she absolutely can. Reeves was quiet. How long have you been doing this? The real work, not the analyst cover. 8 years. How many? He trailed off, unable to finish the question. Mia finished it for him. How many have I killed? Enough that I stopped counting. Not so many that I've stopped remembering. Each one, every face, every shot, every decision. You carry them with you. That's the price. But not so many that you stop remembering. But you're so young. Old enough. She finally looked at him. Your daughter, if she wants to serve, help her, train her, prepare her. Don't lie and tell her she can't do something just because it's hard. Because the truth is, Chief, some women can do this job better than any man. We have to work harder to prove it. We have to be twice as good to get half the credit. But we can do it. That shooting what I saw today, that's not just training. That's something else. That's what happens when you take someone with the right aptitude and give them unlimited ammunition, unlimited training time, and instructors who don't care about anything except making you the best possible version of yourself. She reassembled her rifle with swift, practiced movements. That's what happens when you stop thinking of warfare as a man's job and start thinking of it as a professional skill that anyone with the right attributes can master. The helicopter landed. Medical personnel rushed toward the wounded. Officers appeared to take reports. Mia slipped away in the confusion, heading toward the intelligence section's workspace, her rifle broken down and secured in its case. She'd gotten maybe 50 meters when a voice stopped her. Captain King. Not Mia, not King. Captain King, with full rank. She turned to find a man in civilian clothes standing beside a black SUV that definitely didn't belong on a forward operating base. He was in his 50s, fit in the way that suggested he'd once been operational and hadn't let himself go completely soft. His eyes were hard and knowing. "Mr. Harrison, walk with me." It wasn't a request. She fell into step beside him as they moved away from the main base activities toward a corner where shipping containers had been stacked to create privacy. When they were alone, Harrison turned to face her. "I had 16 separate intelligence feeds telling me that operation was going to be a clean kill, target in place, minimal security textbook raid, and instead it turned into the kind of clusterfuck that gets congressional hearings." The intelligence was compromised. No shit. The question is how and by whom. But that's not why I'm here. He studied her with those hard eyes. "I'm here because you violated your cover. You were supposed to observe, take notes, provide real-time intelligence updates, not engage in direct action that resulted in 6 enemy KIA attributed to a single shooter." Mia stood perfectly still. "Would you prefer those 6 KIA to be American instead?" "I'd prefer you to follow orders. Your job was to maintain your cover as an analyst while gathering intelligence on SEAL team operational protocols. That's why we inserted you. That's what you were supposed to do." "My job is to keep Americans alive. That's what I've always been told." "Your job is what I tell you it is." Harrison's voice hardened. "You're not a SEAL. You're not a ranger. You're not even officially military anymore. You're an asset. A tool we use when conventional options won't work. And tools that act independently tend to get locked away." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm reminding you that there are consequences for going off script. The operation you were observing has now been completely compromised. Every man on that team knows there's something unusual about you. They'll talk, they'll speculate, and eventually someone will start asking the kind of questions that lead to answers we don't want them finding." Mia shifted her weight slightly, a movement so subtle that most people wouldn't have noticed. But Harrison noticed. He was trained to notice, and he took half a step back, suddenly aware that he was having this conversation with someone who had killed 6 men before lunch and hadn't even broken a sweat. "So what happens now?" Mia asked. "Now you write your report. You explain that the enemy positions were already compromised by airstrikes before you arrived. You explain that you provided intelligence support that enabled the SEALs to effectively engage targets. You explain everything except the part where you personally killed half the enemy force. You want me to lie? I want you to maintain operational security. There's a difference." Mia considered this. She'd known this conversation was coming the moment she'd picked up her rifle. Every operation had its consequences. Every decision its price. "And if I refuse, then you'll find yourself reassigned to a desk in a basement in Virginia, analyzing satellite photos of empty desert. Is that what you want? To be put on a shelf while other people do the real work?" He had her, and they both knew it. Mia King was many things, but she wasn't someone who could sit behind a desk while Americans died in the field. That was her weakness, and Harrison knew exactly how to exploit it. "I'll write the report," she said finally. "Good." Harrison walked away. And King, next time you're inserted into an operation, remember what you're there for. Observation, analysis, support, not heroics. 3 days later, Mia sat in a briefing room with Commander Chen, Chief Reeves, and 2 officers from JSOS. The walls were blank, concrete, no windows, the kind of room where secrets were shared and consequences were decided. Chen started the meeting. The official report states that enemy positions were already degraded by preparatory fires before our ground element arrived, that Captain King provided valuable real-time intelligence that enabled effective targeting, that the operation, while it resulted in casualties, was ultimately successful. He paused, looking directly at Mia. "But we all know that's bullshit. We all know what really happened. So I'm going to ask you one more time, Captain. Who do you really work for?" Mia had spent 3 days deciding how to answer this question. She'd written the report Harrison wanted. She'd filed the paperwork. She'd done everything required to maintain her cover and preserve operational security. But sitting in this room, looking at men who'd almost died because intelligence had failed them, she made a different choice. "I work for an organization that doesn't officially exist," she said. "We identify situations where conventional military responses are either impossible or inadvisable. We insert assets, people like me, to resolve those situations through direct action while maintaining plausible deniability for the United States government." "Assassins," one of the JSOC officers said flatly. "Problem solvers. The targets are always verified, always legitimate threats to American lives or interests. But sometimes those threats are in places where we can't officially operate. Sometimes they're protected by diplomatic immunity or political considerations. Sometimes they're just too dangerous to approach through normal channels." Reeves leaned forward. "So you're what? A ghost? A myth? One of those operators that everyone hears about but nobody's supposed to believe in?" "I'm someone who's been given very specific training and very specific authorities to do a very specific job. That job is keeping Americans alive when all the normal rules make that impossible." Chen was processing this, his expression cycling through disbelief, anger, and finally a kind of resigned acceptance. And the ambush. That trap was perfect because someone in the Afghan security forces tipped off the Taliban. They knew we were coming, knew our approach routes, knew our tactics. It was supposed to be a massacre. Instead, it turned into a lesson about underestimating the wrong person. "You saved our lives," Reeves added. "I did my job." "No." Chen shook his head. "You went way beyond your job. You risked exposure, risked your cover, risked whatever mission you were really on, to save a bunch of SEALs who'd spent the entire flight treating you like you didn't belong. Why?" Mia was quiet for a long moment. "Because that's what we do. We keep Americans alive even when they don't know we exist, even when they wouldn't approve of our methods if they did know. We stand in the shadows and we do the ugly work so that people like you can do the heroic work in the light. That's the deal we made. That's the burden we carry." The room was silent. Finally, one of the JSOC officers spoke up. "This conversation never happened. This briefing never occurred. As far as official records are concerned, Captain King provided intelligence support. That's all. Clear?" Everyone nodded. "Good. Because if word gets out that we've got assets operating outside normal chains of command, conducting lethal operations on American authority, but without official oversight, there will be investigations. There will be congressional hearings. There will be criminal charges. And everyone in this room will be caught in that net." They filed out one by one. Chen lingered, waiting until it was just him and Mia. "For what it's worth, I was wrong about you. Completely, totally wrong. Most people are. Is it lonely? Being that person, Being someone nobody's supposed to know about? Mia considered the question. Sometimes. But then I think about the SEALs who went home to their families because I was there. I think about the attacks that never happened because someone like me was in the right place at the right time. And I remember why I do this. Will I see you again? Probably not. People like me don't stick around. We move, we adapt, we disappear. That's how we stay effective. She stood, gathering her minimal gear. Chen watched her prepare to leave. This woman who'd saved his team and was disappearing into mythology before his eyes. King, one last thing. She paused at the door. Thank you. For my men. For keeping them alive. You're welcome, Commander. Now do me a favor. What's that? Stop underestimating people based on what they look like or what their files say, because the most dangerous people are always the ones you never see coming. Remember that, and you might live long enough to make Admiral. She walked out, leaving Chen standing alone in the empty briefing room. In a different country, conducting a different operation, Mia King sat in an observation post watching a target house through high-powered optics. The mission was simple. Identify, confirm, eliminate. The kind of work that never made the news, never generated medals, never appeared in official records. Her spotter, a young operator on his second tour, whispered nervously, "You really do this? Just sit here and wait for someone to give you a shot, then take it, then disappear? That's the job. Doesn't it bother you? Killing people from distance without them even knowing." Mia adjusted her scope fractionally, compensating for a wind shift that her spotter hadn't even noticed yet. It used to. Then I stopped thinking about it as killing people and started thinking about it as solving problems. That man in that house is planning an attack that will kill hundreds, maybe thousands. He's protected by his government, by his security detail, by international law. Conventional options have been exhausted. So I'm here, and tomorrow, hundreds of people who don't even know I exist will wake up alive because of what I do tonight. That's how I live with it. The target appeared in a window. Mia's finger moved to the trigger. Stand by. Standing by. The shot was perfect, clean, final. The target dropped, and Mia was already breaking down her weapon, preparing to disappear into the night. Another problem solved, another threat eliminated, another day of being the person nobody was supposed to know about, doing the job nobody was supposed to acknowledge existed, carrying burdens that nobody would ever understand. The wolf doesn't announce itself to the sheep. And America's deadliest wolves wore faces that nobody would ever remember, worked jobs that nobody would ever acknowledge, and carried burdens that nobody would ever understand. Mia King was one of those wolves, and the world was safer because of it, even though the world would never know her name.